Hi, this is Emily. She is a wonderful intuitive. You're going to learn all about her code activation, her light language, her parallel life, and how you can move forward feeling aligned and have a path where you can trust yourself. Here she is.
Well, thank you, Lanisha, for having me. I'm grateful for this opportunity. And I am Emily Katie. I am a intuitive strategist, life strategist, excuse me, and I help people figure out and remember who they are on the soul level. I help them clear the energetic blocks from past lives, parallel lives, ancestors, and even future life that have blocked them from stepping into their purpose to confidently, unapologetically live the life that they're here to live. And it hasn't always been this way for me. Back in 2015, I was going to a doctor's appointment. And as I was driving to this doctor's appointment, I remember driving up the freeway, and I am an empath. I'm a highly sensitive person. I'm always get like just nervous about going to the doctors. Like the thought of them poking and prodding me is just like instant stress. My heart starts to palpitate. My palms get all sweaty. I get nervous. And I'm driving up the freeway, and I remember thinking, or just feeling this calm just come over me and hearing everything's going to be fine. And I was shocked. It was like the first time in my life I was like not nervous to go to the doctor. And I'm like, this is amazing. Did I turn a corner? What happened? I'm feeling totally at ease with going to the doctor, knowing they're going to be poking me. I'm cool. I'm so grateful. So go to the doctor. I'm confident. I'm at peace. And lo and behold, the doctor injects me with something, a medicine. The moment she injected me, every single cell in my body had this raging energy just surging throughout my entire body. I couldn't move, I couldn't speak. I just felt this awful feeling just in my entire body. I was trying to tell her I need help, and again, I couldn't speak. I'm stuck, I'm frozen. And it felt like you're going to faint if you've ever experienced fainting. But when you faint, you can like put your head between your legs, you can move. I couldn't do anything. I was frozen, and I wanted to just put my head between my legs so I wouldn't faint. The feeling was far worse than fainting, though. And as I'm in this discomfort and I didn't know what to do, all of a sudden I pop out of my body. And the second I popped out of my body, I was in euphoric state. I was complete euphoria. It's nirvana. I'm floating in this abyss. It's this black space. There's a white light off into the distance, and I'm in complete serenity. I'm feeling this love that I've never felt in my entire life. I had this pure essence, this love that again was filling every single cell of my body. And it was just the complete opposite of what I had experienced moments earlier of this raging energy just surging throughout my body to peace. And I'm floating up. And as I'm floating up, just effortlessly, there's no limitations. It's so expansive. And I'm going up towards this light, and I see there's a silhouette in front of the light. This light is bright. It's like as I'm going closer to it, it's blinding. And I'm going up towards it, and I'm thinking, and I like to share, like, here I'm in love, I'm in surrender. I have no worry, no stress in this space. But I like to share in this 3D realm, if you're here and you're in a dark alley with a white light at the end and a silhouette in front of that light, you're going to run. Instant adrenaline's going to surge your body, and you're going to try to figure out how to get out because you don't know what that situation is. And that's the difference of what I experienced of this 3D world that we live in. The energy is so confining and so fearful and so heavy and so dense, whereas up there it's effortless, it's expansive, it's limitless, it's so beautiful, and it's full of love. So I'm floating towards this being in this light, and as I'm floating up there, I realized I'm starting to transition. I didn't know I was transitioning. It took me some time to figure this out. I'm going to transition. And then I have this thought, wait, my mom, my dad, and my dog Buster are going to be devastated when they find this out. they're just going to be totally devastated when they know I die. And then I had this another epiphany that I was detached from them. I could care about them, but not feel them. Now I'm an empath. I'm somebody that has felt everyone's feelings my entire life. I have withheld speaking my truth because I knew if I did how that person would feel. At least I believed I knew how that person would feel. I believed I would hurt them and I would feel their pain. In that moment, I realized that I had been doing that. And here I was worried about my mom, my dad, and my dog, yet I didn't feel their pain. I was whole. I was whole for the first time in my life. It was the most amazing experience to feel whole and complete and not feel this attachment to people. And it wasn't that I didn't love them. I did, but I didn't need them like we need them down here. So at that same time I had that epiphany or that realization, my guides showed me 3 timelines, and they look like thermometers that have the liquid mercury in them. And they stacked them. And each of them, the liquid mercury represented how long my loved ones would be in critical grief. And I knew it was a small portion of the balance of their life, each of them. And I knew they had the strength to get through that grief, that I didn't have to be there to protect them. They had the strength to do it. And I had been protecting them so much of my life by disempowering myself and not speaking my truth to protect them and enable them and not let them go through what they needed to go through. Again, it was just an empowering realization that I got to experience in that moment. So I continued to float up towards this being, and then I saw this white force come at me. And as it's coming at me, it like literally starts to pull me backwards. So I start falling backwards at a rapid pace. So before I'm just effortlessly moving forward. Now I'm at a rapid pace going back. And then I drop back into my physical body. And the moment I dropped in my physical body, I had amnesia. I didn't know who I was. There's this woman who's my doctor saying, Emily, Emily, Emily. I didn't know who Emily was. I didn't know who she was. I didn't know what a doctor was. And I'm in this stark white exam room that's confining. And I was just like lost. I had no concept of anything in this moment. And being, again, from this very expansive place to this confining exam room, this body, everything just hurt to come back into my body. At that time, it took me some time to orient myself. I'm like, okay, I think I'm Emily. I think she's here to help me and not hurt me. It took probably, I would say 30 minutes for me to kind of start to understand who I was again. And then at that point, it's just my life had forever changed. What I didn't say is prior to this near-death experience was I had been married to a man that I was with for, I think, like 14 years. And for 7 of those 14 years, I wanted out of the marriage. But being an empath, I didn't know how to get out of it. And I lived a lie. I lived a facade. I lived for him. I didn't live for me. Within 6 months after that near-death experience, I was out of the marriage. And what my guides were showing me was how we have trauma that has been passed down through generations. Our ancestors, it's been passed down through our past lives. It's bled through with our parallel lives, even our future lives. And what my guides were showing me at the time is they were opening up these portals for me to access these different lines and see where I could start to heal myself. And by healing myself, I'm also healing my loved ones, my ancestors. And in that, I was going through this process. I had one thing I guess I would love to talk about a little bit more is the parallel lives, because this was the one thing that they really showed me was a parallel life. And there's many aspects to parallel lives. It's very multidimensional, and just one area I want to talk about.
What is a parallel life?
Okay. Yes, parallel lives is very expansive in the mind. and there, again, there's so many dimensions to it, but the one area I want to talk about is when you have a major decision in your life and there's like a tug of war within you of what if I do this versus this, and it takes you a minute to really make that decision. A minute, it could take you a while to make that decision, and you're never sure if you made the right decision or not. At that moment, you make the one decision, you create a parallel life because your soul wants to experience both. That's one aspect of it. There's other aspects where our oversoul has created a bunch of lives of our soul. So pieces of our soul are living out different lives here on earth. It could be anywhere. It doesn't have to be just here in this realm. So, but the point of what my guides were showing me in this parallel life that I was living is that at the moment I made the decision to marry my husband, I had told him a year and a half prior to getting married to him, he had not filed his taxes for 10 years. And I said, promise me you'll file your taxes before we get married. And he promised me he would. He didn't. And I was coming to a crossroads of, do I get married to him or not? And I made the decision to do it because I was living for everybody else. I was an empath living for everyone else but me. And so in that moment, I made a decision that was the toughest decision and the toughest lessons I've had to go through. And I won't even go through half of it. But I had to learn how to heal myself. And I don't believe there's ever a bad decision, because these decisions we go through so we can be there and be vulnerable and real for other people who are also going through stuff similar to us. But my guides were showing me there was a part of me that believed in myself, that loved myself, that believed in my worth and did not marry him. That part of me is a parallel life that is living out there. She didn't worry about what my parents would think last minute of canceling everything, or my friends that were traveling all over this country to come to a little podunk town in Northern California, people making effort to come all over for my wedding day. That Emily, that empowered one, that parallel life one that said, no, I'm not marrying you. She didn't care. She stood up for herself. And myself, my consciousness didn't have that strength. So what my guides had me do over the years is lean into her and call on her to help pull me out of that, the victim, Emily. Stop being the victim and start to learn, start to observe, start to get curious and pull into that energy to help lift you up. So it took me time. I'm not saying this happened overnight, like day after day, year after year, or month after month, year after year. I would work on that and just work with my guides to figure out, how do I work with this energy, this entity, this part of me that is out there living an empowered life, that I can start to live an empowered life myself. And that's one thing, anyone here watching this, I just would highly recommend, if you have ever made a decision in your life that there's a tug of war and you're like, oh, I wish I didn't make that decision. Know that there's part of you out there that is empowered and she or he did the right thing in your mind. Again, I don't believe there's bad decision. They made the empowered decision that maybe you weren't able to in the time. And you can call on them. I would light candles, white candles. I love white candles. I would light a white candle and I'd get my most sacred journal, the journal that I will only use when it's those moments that are just like, I need help. And I'd pull out that journal and I would start writing her letters. And I would thank her. I would thank her for her courage. I would thank her for loving me. I would thank her. And I would pour into her and share with her how much I need her. I need her to help me, lift me up. And you can absolutely 100% do the same. You can start having conversations with your guides, or excuse me, your parallel lives that you need help from. They will lift you up. They will help you. At the same time, I do this work with my clients. I have a client that she had made the empowered decision. She had left her ex. And she called me one day and she goes, Emily, I just don't get it. I don't understand. Like, my life was going great. And now just within the last month or so, it's all of a sudden like come to a screeching halt. I don't get it. What's going on? And so I go in and I go into one of those portals and I take into a point 6 months prior where she broke up with her boyfriend. And I said, oh, you broke up with your boyfriend 6 months ago. And she goes, yeah. And I go, part of you is still there. And she's depressed and she's really broken. She doesn't know how to get out of this. And my client was like, okay, I guess. She wasn't fully engaged. She didn't really fully understand that we could have parallel lives. And she ended up a few days later, went to another psychic who is very expensive. She told me $1,200. He doesn't have a website. He's referral based only. He told her the exact same thing that I had told her. There's this parallel life that's broken. And he was able to clear it for her so that she could start to excel again. That fragmented energy bleeds through into our personal lives in this consciousness where we're at. So our parallel lives, whether they're doing good or not, they can either lift us up or pull us down, or we could be lifting them up or pulling them down. So ideally, our consciousness is here in this very moment. And so just being able to understand and connect. So with my client, she worked with this other gentleman, but if that's your case, if you made a decision that was empowered and there's part of you that's not, you can write that person or that part of you a letter, just giving them whatever it is that they need, telling them it's okay, and sharing your wisdom with them. I've seen amazing breakthroughs, not only with myself, but with my clients, being able to work with these parallel lives that we do experience in this realm. The other thing that I want to touch on, because I work with a client.
Before we move forward,
yes.
Are we changing the topic?
I'm sorry.
Are you changing the topic?
Yeah, I was going to.
Okay, I have a couple questions.
Yeah.
How can one know the difference between ruminating upon the parallel life and moving themselves to be empowered through those parallel lives?
Okay, I guess I don't fully understand what you're asking.
How can we be sure that we are empowering ourselves through the parallel life as opposed to ruminating or sulking over the choice or the decision?
Yeah, so there's no bad decisions. Mm-hmm. So for me, my situation, I married a man that was a narcissist, and I'm an empath. And so I made that choice, and I could sulk over it and I could be a victim. I was for a long time, but I chose, my guide showed me, let's go into this parallel life and see the empowered you, and let's pull into that energy to help pull you up. Am I answering your question there?
Yes,
or not?
I see it.
Okay. Yeah. Whereas my client, she was opposite of me. She was the empowered one to leave, but there was a part of her that hadn't. So she had to go in to heal that part of her to lift her up.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Any other questions before we move on? I know it's a dynamic subject.
Let's go ahead.
All right. So working with my clients, a lot of them, I see 4 different areas of blocks. Generally, that's really preventing them to step into their full potential. This is myself included. I have to work on this stuff every day. This is, we're in this human body and this dense energy, and this energy really does not want us to propel. It just is that way. But we have to constantly work on ourselves. It's a conscious decision. One of the things, so parallel lives, ancestors, and past lives, that's all like DNA. It's all in our DNA, and it's going in and it's decoding the patterns, the beliefs, the imprints that have been set into our DNA, and then reprogramming new coding in there so that you can live your full life, and removing the blocks. When I do clearing of ancestors or past lives or parallel lives, I do want to say when I do those clearings, I do see usually I'll see archangels surround that life, and the archangels will generally take them up to a different dimension to heal them. So, and then the other thing I do want to touch on too is when I see that happen, that's usually when the only way we can heal is if we learn the lesson. we are ready to release. Because sometimes there's a lot of unforgiveness and anger, and if you can't release it, it's really hard to, you can't transmute that energy. So I can feel it in my clients' bodies when they've received the lesson, they hear it, they get it, and that's when they can change the trajectory of their life on those.
But you had said, can I interrupt?
Mhm.
Sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
You had said that there was 4 types. You want to go back to the 4 types, and I'm one. I have to practice these things all the time. There's 4 different.
Types that I see with my clients in the block. So the one is parallel life. The others, fear. A lot of them like kind of bleed through, but some are a little bit higher or like a little stronger than others. Fear-based. So it's limiting beliefs that are just staying stuck in their head. Then I'm finding a lot of my clients are having, so it's the DNA, the fear, like blocked third eye and pineal gland. And then the last one I'm also seeing with my clients a lot is nervous system. The nervous system is just on fire. It's just misfiring constantly. It's an overdrive. And so that was part of my problem too, is because I grew up with a learning disability. I came from a family that was highly educated. Like the lowest degree anybody in my family has is a master's. And here I had this learning disability as a kid. I couldn't read, write, I couldn't comprehend. It was just like I was a mess in school. So I'm trying to navigate school. I'm trying to fit in. And I didn't know where I belonged. I was going to special ed. So anybody that has a learning disability and you get made fun of by your peers and you're going to special ed, it can be very traumatizing for the kid. So I just wanted to fit in. I just wanted my worth. That's all. Just wanted to have worth and feel worthy and fit in. So I started self-teaching myself how to learn. I don't know how I did it. No clue. I was a failure. By 4th grade, I was starting to learn to read and start to navigate the school system. My parents, their only goal for me was to get through high school. I got all the way through college. I just got a BA. I was like, I'm done. But my nervous system was so jacked because I had worked so hard just to try to fit in. And like for me to get a B was probably, I worked probably, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 times harder than anybody else. I was just constantly working and studying to just try to figure out the school system and what we were learning. So right after my NDE at the time, I had 2 7-figure businesses. They were mine. I owned and operated them. I was trying to find or show off my worth. I was trying to show the world I had value. I was successful. And within a year after my NDE, I closed my businesses and walked away from them because my nervous system was so jacked and I couldn't connect with myself. I didn't know who I was. I was living a facade. I was living a lie just so people would like me. I walked away from security, but I needed to do it. And the nervous system, if your nervous system is in overdrive, you have no way to connect to your physical body. You're just in your head. So my head was in a constant loop, worrying, thinking worst case scenario, how to, show off or, whatever it was I was trying to prove. And when you're there, you really can't connect with source. You can't connect with yourself. I didn't sleep for decades, literally did not sleep for decades until I could get my nervous system in alignment with myself. And now I sleep like a baby. So the nervous system is when you're feeling wired and tired at the same time. It's on overdrive. You're always exhausted. You're anxious. There's something that's just, you can't find peace even when things are stressful. Today, I can find peace even when things are stressful. I can sleep even when things are unsteady and uncertain for me. I don't have a perfect life. I don't think any of us have a perfect life, but I don't lose sleep over it anymore. I trust. And I know the importance of really taking care of my nervous system. So I do want to share one technique that I love to use to help open up my vagus nerve, so that when I'm feeling stressed, because one thing I want to say is really quickly, when you're asked to meditate, a lot of people are like, there's no way. There's no way I can meditate. My brain is constantly going. And I was that way until I committed to 1 year of meditating for 30 minutes every day. And that changed my life. Absolutely 100% changed my life. Did you have something to say?
Nope, I'm doing the same thing.
Yeah. 1 year every day,
Every
30
day.
minutes.
That's right.
You know what's interesting? I went back and I did last 10 years of my life, I did like a little timeline, and I was like just marking like major events in my life. And the most profound was when I made that commitment. Everything shifted for me because my nervous system was in alignment. I was able to create a brain-heart coherence. And so when we create this coherence, our heart has more brain cells than our brain. And when we create it, our heart can lead us and our brain can take a back seat and stop going through the loop that it doesn't know how to get out of. And so I can't tell you how amazing it is to really just trust your heart and connect with that. But the only way you can create this coherence is when you can really slow down. And again, if you can't meditate, go for a walk. You have to figure out what are ways that you can regulate your nervous system so you can create this coherence. Yin yoga is one of my favorite things. That helps me drop into my body if I'm feeling anxious. But this one technique I do use when I'm highly stressed, things are a little bit anxious for me or whatever, I want to open up my vagus nerve. Our vagus nerves go from our brain, down our neck, into our heart, and into our gut. So this creates, it's like an energy highway that's stimulating the brain and bringing it into the heart, bringing it into the gut. So it can create this coherence that I'm talking about and opening up, your heart, so your heart can lead. So one thing I do is if I just sit and I just turn my neck like side to side, if you guys want to join me, and you can kind of feel like just little glitches or tightness in your neck. And then after doing it a few times, just take your 2 fingers and put it at your occipital ridge. That's the base of your skull, that bone right there, and the top of your neck. Just put it right there in the middle. And then you'll want to pull the skin towards the left. And you just hold it for 30 seconds.
Towards the center? Or
pull the skin, towards the center. And then just hold it there for 30 seconds. And we won't hold it the full 30 seconds for the time. But then after 30 seconds, you're going to pull the skin towards the outer edge, the right.
Let's slow it down. Let's do 30 seconds.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you got a time? I don't have a watch.
Sure. We're almost there.
All right.
I think there, yeah.
Yeah.
And then shift.
Now you want to do the other side.
Shift to the outside?
So it's
you
36
do a minute on each side?
It's 30 seconds in, 30 seconds on
That's
the outside.
fine.
And then so we do the other side.
Okay.
So 30 seconds pushing to the center.
Oh, I did that side.
Can you feel it?
Not with me poking her.
And then I go to the outside now. Just pull in the skin, top. And then release it. Once you release it, then now you can turn your head side to side and you can feel that it's looser and open, and that has released the vagus nerve, opening it up. So now you're creating the coherence from your mind to your heart. So in those moments that you're stressed and you're not thinking clearly, you can do this 2-minute little practice. It's going to open up your vagus nerve so that you can go into your heart, and then you can ask your heart, what do I do in this situation? The power of our heart and how our hearts know things. is mind-boggling to me. This is where your intuition is. This is when you're guided and you're like, how did this even happen? You know, when dogs are warning us that there's an earthquake going to happen, or some of them are medically trained that their master may be having a seizure or something, they will, they're going off of their heart. Their heart is telling them. They're telling them before the incident happens. We can do that ourselves if we can tap into our heart. But if we're so stuck in our head and we've blocked off our bodies, we won't be able to access that. So what I do now is I work with my clients to really help them. I'm able to go into the different portals that they need. Everybody's different, but whatever portal it is that's preventing them to fully step into who they are, what they're meant to be doing in this lifetime, what's blocking them, I'm able to go in and be taken into wherever that is in their life, whether it's this life, past life, again, ancestors, and help clear that, whatever that is, that situation is for them, so that they can bring that new energy forward and live out their purpose.
I love it.
Yeah. So do you have any questions or anything?
Let's see what they say.
Okay. I do have a quiz too on my website if anybody's interested in it. It's the 4 different ways that that could be blocking you that I talked about as well. So you can take that quiz. And my website's Emily, and it's KADY, emilykaty.com/quiz. And you can see where you may be blocked in your life right now energetically. And so you can start to clear it.
What does it look to begin working with you?
What does it look to begin working with me?
Yes.
Everybody's different because everybody has different needs. So I don't have any, I don't know if I'm answering this question correctly, so correct me. Everybody is, I work with my clients and their guides. And so, yeah, I go into a trance. So I'm not necessarily like looking you, but in the eyes, and I can easily go up into the spiritual realm. I just pop on up because I've been there. So I can easily access it. And then I'm taken to different portals of wherever your soul needs to go, wherever your soul needs the deep healing. I'm in trance, but I'm speaking just like we're talking now. It's weird. It's like part of my brain is here and part of my brain's in a different realm.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's a parallel.
Yeah, exactly.
Tell us about your light language.
Okay, so light language is something that I've been activated in, and it is a soul language that I am pulling in when I'm working with my clients. So it's not necessarily something that's spoken English. It's an ancient language that will come in, and it's basically I'm communicating on a soul level to you. A lot of healing is done there, a lot of clearing of energy. I do light codes as well. So I will pull out old light codes that are holding you back, because we all have light codes in our body, and put in new light codes just to clear. It's like having dead batteries in you. I'll pull them out so that you can get a little fresh start moving forward.
Okay. And do you have any questions?
How do people get a hold of you?
So my website's emilykaty.com, and then I'm on YouTube as well as Emily Katy, and on Instagram.
Emily, do you see a lot of people who have had near-death experiences?
I don't necessarily, not as clients. I have some friends because of the community and whatnot. I know a few other people that have, but not necessarily clients.
Okay.
So
It has been my pleasure to work with you. You're a fascinating healer and teacher. So I just thank you very much for your time, giving it to Body Studios and being present today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate both of you guys. It's been so fun.
Thank you for joining us today. See you next time.